Hello and welcome. This is BSC Data Science Meetup featuring K4 Analytics. Today, our special guests are Lars Buchner, Head of Global Sales of K4 Analytics, and Andrea Traverso, the CTO of K4 Analytics. So let me just briefly introduce you to this tool and this concept, and then I will hand it over to the experts, let's say. And just give you a little background how I came across this tool. So I'm having a planning focus in recent months, and I've been looking through a lot of planning solutions, and K4 has some very distinctive features, let's say. One of the most interesting ones is its integration capabilities. So K4 Analytics can be integrated into Qlik, Tableau, and PowerBI, which provides a lot of interesting use cases in my point of view. And furthermore, you can also integrate it into Microsoft Teams. So basically, you don't even need a BI tool in order to plan or to acquire some data from external people, which from my point of view is very interesting. From the planning functionality itself, I would rate it as a more advanced planning tool. When you know different planning solutions for Qlik, you may have come across Infinity or Bislib, and they are usually just row-based planning tools. So one of the neat features of K4 is that it's one of the few, if not the one, Qlik integrated planning solution that can offer you hierarchical planning. So which is very interesting for sales planning, for example. So therefore, you can plan on a country level and have a sales representative and products, for example, and you can both either plan from top down on the country level, or you can plan on an article level, which is really handy for sales planning, in my point of view. So with that out of the way, let me just make some brief housekeeping. We would like to keep it simple and streamlined. So usually we have interactive sessions, but for today, I would suggest that we keep the Q&A session to the end. So if you have questions, write them down in the chat, or wait a bit until we have the Q&A session. And yeah, with that out of the way, I'm handing it over to Lars. I'm very curious for the use cases you have, and yeah, the stage is yours, Lars.
Thanks, Bernhard. Great. Thanks for the invitation and for the option to show you today K4, our approach, and also some insights to one of the pioneers in planning with Qlik, for sure, but also with the approach for the integrated planning in analytics platforms. I would like to step into some slides to give you an overview. What is K4? What is our approach? And then I would like to start into a first live demo and then hand over to Andrea to give you a deeper dive into some planning features. So that's the story for today. If that's okay, Bernhard.
Yeah, great.
Okay. So let me share my screen. Full screen mode. And then move to the slide deck. Do you see my slides?
Yes.
Perfect. Great. So yeah, plan, collect, and embed with K4 Analytics. That's our story. And before I start with the story, I would like to go back 22 years, because that's important. Because we have to speak about a revolution. In 2002, Segway stepped into our lives and said that they would like to do a revolution in the personal mobility. And myself, A lot of people thought, wow, what would come there? In the end, 22 years later, I'm also older, but that's not the main story. The main story is that one. The personal mobility changed over all these years, but not based on Segway. It was as we see it here, something existing. And these are the bikes. We see e-bikes around the globe on every edge, in the mountains, in the cities. And with that, we had a big change in our personal mobility, but not a revolution. And that's something, that's our approach also. That's the bridge to K4, to see, okay, we would like to optimize something existing. And with that, we see, I would say, three main pillars. We are on the left, the existing BI platforms, as Bernard mentioned, Microsoft Power BI, Qlik, and also Tableau, plus Teams. And in the middle, our approach using the spreadsheet model to write back data, to build planning applications within integrated the analytics platforms. And the third part is using a database. We are database agnostic. That means you could store the data in any SQL database. For sure, we have a lot of customers that uses the Microsoft SQL database, but also the other well-known SQL databases that we could write back. That means database agnostic, using the Excel, the spreadsheet advantages. So give you the freedom with your Excel and integrate it into your analytics platform. And that's more or less our approach. As Bernard also told you, our journey started in the Qlik environment, but over the years, we see more and more the Power BI in use also on the customer's end. And with that, for sure, it was the consequent next step to integrate our solution also easily into Power BI. But that's not the end. This example, and we will dive into the tool in some seconds or minutes, could be also the integration into Teams, because we have seen that a lot of companies uses Excel and on the other hand, the email solution to collect data from the entire company. And with K4, it's possible to open a channel in Teams, integrate our spreadsheet there, also with the user rights, and spread it out to collect data, write it back directly in the database and use it for any reporting, whatever you would like to do, or not just focus on the budget data. If you think about comments or texts, we can also collect in that way any form-based data entry. So that's our approach. Here with an example for the ESG reporting, where we could easily combine the business case with our technique to save and write back the data into the database. But what does it mean? In the end, we could deliver the solution for your planning requirements. That means also K4 can design any corporate application with focus on the CPM sector. Means also including workflows and comments to have their unique solution integrated in your analytics platform. If you see it on the left, it's typical the XP&A, so the extended planning capabilities that we can build. For example, sales and operations planning, as Bernard mentioned, but also other industry-specific planning solutions that we build together with our partners worldwide. For sure, we move ahead to financial plannings, typical financial plannings, budgeting, capex planning, cash flow planning. Everything is possible to build within K4. And on the right side, the HR related, that means budget, or if HR related forms in that part of the company, we can collect it and bring it together. A little bit down, mentioned the data collection part and also simulations and forecasts that customers build with K4. We are a globally proven solution. So this is just a short overview to different parts in the world. Medium-sized companies, upper medium-sized companies, but also enterprise customers like Johnson & Johnson or Total. We do have a lot of companies also in Europe or in the DACH region, where our partners also, like Bernhard, are in contact directly with the end customer. And this is my last slide to give you a small overview. 2K4 means worldwide more than 50 qualified partners in more than 30 countries. That means we do have more than 10,000 end users with K4 around the globe. Bernhard, any question, anything to mention till here?
No, I'm curious about the use cases.
Perfect. Then I have to come back and give you the first overview integrated in Power BI. That means here, do you see my screen? First question again with Google. Yes. What you see here is the integrated spreadsheet in Power BI. It's the Power BI solution. We have the options to select. This is the Power BI functionality. And then we have here the grid from K4, the spreadsheet model, where I can bring together actual budgets from type in budgets, can do calculations, can add comments, have conversations, and have in the workflow the options to approve or decline or whatever. I would just like here to mention that we have the options to choose here, just to simulate it, that we have the possibility to work here as different users. And with that, you can see, combined with my role in my company, I just see the data where I have access to. Or if I'm a sales rep for a specific region or for specific products, you can reduce and give just access to my related products or regions that I have to plan. Same thing is, and that's necessary as we are a fully CPM solution in the end, that we can work with versions. We have the options to show ratios. That's something specific in Power BI. If we move to Qlik, to give you an overview, where we also have the option, was just disconnected, but it's live, no problem. And here you see same options saying, okay, I have my different tabs, can type in data, can get overviews, and that is integrated in Qlik.
With Power BI, I guess.
Oh, no, I should have switched to. Then let me move back. That's the meeting. No problem. Yeah. Thanks, Bernhard.
Yeah, great.
And this is not Power BI. This is Qlik. And here we have the same screen, the P&L. Then I have also the context menu here integrated in Qlik with the options I can choose in my selections which year I want to see or which month or whatever. But these are the typical Qlik functionalities where we have integrated our spreadsheet model. Yeah, that's my first overview to the integration into the different worlds. And I would like to hand over to Andrea for more or less a deeper dive into some planning requirements, capabilities, functionalities with K4. Thanks.
Lovely, thanks, Lars. I'm going to share quickly my screen so we can look at some live demos showcasing K4 in Qlik, and starting with the same P&L that Lars just showed us. Bernard, can you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely, thank you. So let's start with the same P&L demo, but we're going to have a look a bit more in detail. So we are inside a Qlik dashboard, and this is the K4 object, which looks and behaves like Excel, although it's not Excel, does not require Excel, but is absolutely similar in the way it interacts and is used by the end user to Excel. So the end users, they really feel at home, and they have the impression of really using Excel inside Qlik or PowerBI or Tableau or Teams. Whenever they make a selection, a change in the selection, like here, the K4 object will automatically detect it and refresh. And in refreshing, it will, in this example, it will get the actual data from Qlik, and in parallel, at the same time, get in this example, the budget data from the backend SQL Server database. And although obviously the actual data are not editable, I can change my budget and just enter data as in a spreadsheet. I can enter numbers like here, but I can also, let me just quickly just save this new number. Okay, when I click save, the data are saved back on the fly to the backend SQL database. Let's go back to Division A. Okay, you can see here that we have a spreadsheet template, but we have also the concept of views to facilitate selecting different columns to better work and focus. So if I want to, for example, to focus on the input of the budget figures, I can, with just a click, hide all the actual columns, and then I can add a comment like here. And I can save, but I can also not only simply manage a comment linked to a data point, in this case, the line gross sales in our P&L or Division A, the year 2020 and the month of January, but we can also manage a fully threaded conversation. So K4 can store in the backend SQL database in each record cell a fully threaded conversation. And I can add my comment today, confirm, and when I say now there are 5 posts in my conversation by thread, and when I save, also the entire conversation is saved back to the database. Now I can just double click to retrieve it and edit. So it's extremely rich. Not just figures, but text, fully threaded conversation. I can manage also status to manage, or even on multiple level, cascaded to manage a workflow. As Lars was showing here in this demo, we have this user here that we can use to simulate a different user. So in this example, Edward is the manager, Bill and Susan are brand manager. So if I simulate being Bill, See that now I cannot see the entire P&L, but I will stop just at the gross margin line, and then we can configure this easily. And then I am able to change the brand manager status, where I, as a brand manager, I can set the status of this data point. So if I approve and I save, then we go back as Edward. You'll see that this, look, he's approved. And you can see also the color coding, because K4 supports all the features in Excel, including conditional formatting. And now the budget is locked because it has been approved by the brand manager. And the manager can then approve or put on hold or reject. The important thing is that each cell can be set to be editable or locked based on rules. Like in this example, the rule is simply if the brand manager is approved, then the cell is not editable. And we can configure, with all the flexibility of the Excel template that we use, all the rules that we need. If we look very quickly, let me see if I have it on the fly. Not getting started. Let me introduce a technical thing. We have seen that the interface does look like Excel, and actually we use Excel just to build the template where we have all the calculations, and we have the flexibility of simply, if I update this and then I upload again to the server, you will see very quickly with the Manager Studio. So I can use the template manager to upload to the server the edited version of our Excel template that was in this example, was in demos, P&L, the one we just changed. We see the orange background. So as soon as I publish the K4 server, I simply go back and refresh, and the updated template is being used. So I have this just a silly example, but to show how it is simple and quick to change, modify, develop using the concept of Excel templates that are getting the data on the fly from both the hosting BI platform, like here in Qlik Sense for the actuals, and the backend SQL database.
That's very interesting.
Yes. And obviously, there are a number of features that we don't have time to cover everything. If I just right-click on a cell, I can access the full story, the audit trails for this cell. So I can see that the last change was from 1.2 to 1.34 millions for this cell, and this is the last value. So there are a variety of features, all the features that you will need to implement fully integrated business planning, or also financial planning and analysis, all within the Qlik or the Tableau or the Power BI platform. So all the analysis part is done by the BI platform, and we don't have to reinvent inside the K4, where we focus on supporting in the best way the data entry for planning and forecasting, for example. So let's quickly look at another example. Baron mentioned the fact that we can support both a top-down and bottom-up way of working. And in Qlik, we can leverage, let me very quickly, sorry, I just switch to brand. So in this example, we are entering our budget, sales budget data along a hierarchy. So we have brands, we are selling tennis rackets. So we have Bubblehead and Wilson. Then we have product groups, and each product group is made of product items. And here we have non-editable, the actuals of the previous year coming from calculated by Qlik. And I can change this. And the moment I save, you see I change Babolat in January to 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. And I save, if I drill by line, that's exactly, the total has been updated, spreading down, well, actually spreading down to the product, and then in this case, grouping up by product group or line, by product line. And even here, I can change a total if I want. I set a new total and it will spread to the cells. So all these lovely features. And the moment I save, this will be saved to the backend SQL database with a spread back. And then if I look at AeroDrive, which now is 3 or 4 by product, we will find that everything is being updated. In this case, we had data only for one product. But at any time, I can go up along the hierarchy and go back down. What is interesting in Qlik sense is that this is one single K4 object, but we are dynamically drilling along the hierarchies, and Qlik Sense is giving us the updated data for the actuals calculated on the fly. You see on the left that I have drilled from Babolat, so the brand is automatically selected also in the Qlik Sense dashboard. And what's happening in the background, if you look at the SQL statement that is created, is that dynamically we are querying the data with the right line and brand selection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's great. Is it possible to have such a scenario with all the dimensions in one view? Let's say the brand and the products?
Yeah, yes, you can have, I don't have an example here, but here we can have on the left, let's say by row, you can have up to 15 different dimensions. Okay, that could be either part of the hierarchy or one hierarchy or multiple hierarchies or completely unrelated orthogonal dimensions. We can have up to 15. And actually, let me check. I can show you an example. And we also use this to show you another concept. So this is an example. If I select a subsidiary, here we're looking at entering some data by chart of account. You can see that in this case, we have 3 elements of our account, of our chart of accounts. So we have the category, the top level, the account group, and the account. And instead of drilling down, as we've seen with the brand, the line, the products, here they are displayed, as you were asking, Bernard, by row.
That's great.
Okay. With this, we can let me open back. It's not simply the building templates to enter data, but we can build logic behind in the database that we can use. A simple example, here we have a common chart of account, but we want the ability to activate or deactivate based on the subsidiary, different countries, each down to each single account. So if I, for example, for the USA, deselect, deactivate the data entry for the account group 02 in 0 category fixed assets, and I save, when I go to the screen to do the data entry, and I select USA, this will use dynamically the configuration matrix. And you can see that now I don't have any longer the 4 account group, neither the 2 and the 3, I just have 1 and 5. Mm-hmm. So this is to show that K4 has the capability of being driven by not only by rules that we can set in the Excel templates, but also by rules coming from the backend database, such as based on matrices, configuration matrices that will drive dynamically the entire K4 object. This was an example on 3 dimensions. We can have up to 15. The dimensions by row can be displayed like here, or they can display, I think we have the example here. Yeah, with an outline. So we can collapse and expand along a hierarchy, like here. These are the same data, but presented in a different way. Let's see. And even here, at any level, I can change the number. So if I want to change the total for the category 0 in February, I simply type the new total. Right. Yes. And when I click on set, you see that all the numbers for all the account groups belonging to the category 0 have been updated on the fly. And then I can expand all levels with one click.
Yeah,
okay,
that's great. I haven't seen a lot of tools that can do that so easily, so
that's the goal.
But Bernard, this was just more than the first view. This is a masterclass, and that was the first training. So enjoy it.
Oh yeah, actually, this is it in the sense that there is no programming, there are no macros in K4. Everything is simply configured with rules through the layout and through the template, the Excel template. So it's extremely quick from one end to develop something from scratch, but we have also the very important ability of leveraging what is already in use in a company. So if you have been using your lovely planning Excel models for years and you don't want to lose them and you don't want to change the way you work, we can reuse actually them inside K4, inside Qlik, for example, or PowerBI. But then the data are no longer in the spreadsheet, but they are coming on the fly from the backend SQL database or the BI dashboard. So we have all the advantages of the flexibility and the richness of using a spreadsheet model, but without the drawbacks of duplicating data, because the data are not in the template, because it's just a template, but they are coming on live on the fly from the SQL database and from the hosting dashboard.
Yeah, that's really great. And it's always great to see customers which have huge Excel-based planning scenarios transferring to such a solution, and how easy the collection of the data becomes with this kind of solution. So yeah, thank you very much for showcasing these scenarios. And yeah, I have a lot of questions, but maybe we give the audience the possibility to ask their questions first. If they have any, you should be able to unmute yourself. If not, okay, then I post my questions. I think I've asked you before, but just for the sake of completion, in Qlik, you are using the server-side extension. Is that correct?
Yeah, the QlikSense K4 extension is installed server-side. Can be installed also on Qlik Cloud.
Yeah, but when I saw you entering and saving the data, there was no Qlik reload triggered. So technically speaking, it should be there is a technical feature in Qlik. It's called server-side extension, which enables you to directly save the data into wherever the data is located.
No, this is entirely done in K4 because it's the same that works in Qlik, PowerBI, Tableau, and Teams. So we do not rely on specific platform features, but K4 is capable of establishing directly the direct connection, read and write connection to the backend database.
Yeah. Okay.
And sorry, and I didn't show it, but it's possible also to trigger the reload, partial, full, also from the K4 interface if you want. Just a matter of configuring and activating. And then a button will appear in the toolbar of the K4, and the user can, if we want to allow them, trigger a reload, partial or full.
Yeah, but basically for the planning, it's not necessary, because once you save, it's updated.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's
just for Qlik data that is out of K4 context, let's say. Okay. The people, the users you mentioned, yeah, or the different user scenarios. Is that anyhow connected with section access in Qlik sense? Because there is this standard functionality we use to restrict data, and I was just wondering if it's exactly the same function or
we inherit essentially we inherit the section access from the hosting dashboard.
Okay.
And we forward this and use this in all the interactions with the backend SQL database. So it means that if I'm allowed only to see Babolat products, then every time the K4 object, I use the K4 will use Babolat, brand equal to Babolat in the where condition to get the data from SQL. So everything is driven by the hosting Qlik dashboard, including the section access, and we inherit this.
Okay. Is in your is for you versioning the same like scenarios? Because you were showing you have different versions. Is it like the same then?
It's
planning scenarios, let's say.
Yes. But it's just a matter of how you design the application. We do not offer a single standard way of managing scenarios or versions. It's just a matter of designing the backend SQL tables with an additional field such as version. And we could have versions and scenarios at the same time. So for a version, we can manage multiple scenarios. So it's just a matter of designing the K4 application, because K4 does not come with a rigid predefined application structure, but it will adapt to the structure of your data.
And is there, for example, a functionality, let's say, that says, "Oh, this is now the base scenario, and based on this, I will make my planning," or do I have to?
We can implement all this, and we have all the power also of executing on the fly SQL either statements or store procedures. So we could have a store procedure that is taking the growth rate by market and by quarter and by year and apply to the previous year sales, and then create with this a new scenario, for example.
Yeah, that makes it very versatile. Okay, and the last question I have is the predecessor versions. Do you store all the predecessor versions of a field? Let's say if it's changed 100 times, do you change all these changes? To store all these changes?
There is an option called audit trail. So if you activate the audit trail option, K4 will automatically log, but in a separate table, every single change.
Okay.
But in the main table, you have just the last one.
Yeah, that's a good solution, because when you have too many, the table becomes bloated. Yeah. Well, then thanks a lot for the presentation. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Next week, I'm going to try it out at a customer on site. So very curious